Hey guys, another book, Christian book review, Through the Eyes of the Lion. This was actually a gift to me from my cousin while I was up in Montana. It is a very short book, but don't let that fool you. It is quite a tough read, and it did take me a while to read this. There were some moments where I could only read like a page, and I had to like sit it down because it was heavy, not tough, but heavy book to read. This book is published by the same publisher house as the Ann Wilson book I was reading, and I told you guys I was going to read this book right after that book. This is how long it took me to read this book. I was kind of reading other books in between this book, but this book, it is a good book. I really enjoyed it. It is, it's a lesson learning type of book. It's just like the other book from the same publisher house. This guy lost his daughter, and it's just the story of how his family dealt with that afterwards. And he has a few memories of his daughter in here, and a few motivational speeches of his that he puts in here, and just how his family dealt with the mourning of losing his daughter. He's actually a preacher and up in Montana, and he has his own church franchise, I should say, that he's building a bunch of churches all over that's got the same name and same logo on it. So yeah, like church franchise. And he mentions an app that I actually did download. But within the story, it gets tough. He mentions sometimes how it was right before Christmas, 5 days before Christmas, and he got there just a few minutes before she passed. She had like an asthma attack, and just died pretty much right on the spot. And they rushed her to the hospital, and she ended up being an organ donor. And just the story of how him and his wife dealt with it, and they ended up getting tattoos. And she mentioned, and this popped right out at me, that when they went to go get the tattoos in her memory, that all the guys in there kind of looked like members of the Sons of Anarchy motorcycle club. I just thought that was kind of funny. But so there are little light moments like that will make you laugh in here, and it is quite motivational. He does try to keep it. It is mostly sad, and it sometimes some of the stuff he says hits home a lot. There was this one passage in here that stuck out at me, like deception and to the generation that wears long sleeves because of the cuts on their arm. Like, I read that and then immediately just had to close the book because that was quite heavy for me. And then some days I could read a whole chapter at once. Some days I could only read a few pages. It just kind of depended on where it was at in the book. In the back of the book, the focuses more on motivation and convincing the reader, pencils down that last chapter. He convinces the reader that don't wait until tomorrow. If you have something on your to-do list, do it right now. You don't even know if tomorrow's gonna come. And going back to the night he lost his daughter in the hospital, in the little his daughter's little purse, there is invites to the his Christmas preach. And he went back in and took the invites from her purse and went back in and invited everyone who was on that night shift. And one of the nurses who went there ended up writing him a very nice letter, which I thought was really, really cool and really, really sweet. And like I said, it's inspirational pain. You could use pain your pain as power. He talks about that a lot. And it is a very tough read. like emotionally tough read to but it is very inspiring to read. And this guy lives in Montana, and he talks a lot about Montana and how it is to live there in the winter. And he talks about Bozeman and his trip to Bozeman. And what's funny is I learned from this book that I completely forgot the name of him, but just John Mayer. John Mayer lived in Bozeman, at least at the time of this publishing of the book, which I didn't know, which I thought that was pretty cool to know. Anyway, I highly recommend this book, and if you haven't read it, just give it a read. It is, like I said, it's a thin book, and you probably could get through it within a couple weeks, or like me, and it gets to you a little bit. It might take a little longer, but it is a very, very good read. And this guy has a church app, which he mentions in the book, and I downloaded it on my phone, so I'll share it in the description, and I'll share where you could get this online. Anyway, hope you read it, and hope you have a great night. Okay, bye.